Hello, welcome to this channel. My name is Tanya and I'm 52 years old and I live on the east coast of Scotland. The main objective of today's video is to provide some educational aspects in terms of tools and techniques, hints and tips to help you on your self-development journey, or just to be able to get through the day in whatever aspect of your life is requiring some support and assistance. So thank you to the returning viewers, and for the new viewers that are coming across this video, on a Wednesday I'm going to post the educational aspects as part of my own personal development journey, and also as part of the coaching and therapy certifications that I've actually completed earlier this year. So the topic I thought would be really useful to cover off is around the meaning that we attach to words or thoughts that are going through our head. And I've decided to use this simply because that was one of the higher viewing videos that I did as part of the 30-day challenge. So until you start giving me ideas and contributions as to what specific topics or areas in your life you would require some support, I'm going to focus on the tools and techniques that I'm using on a daily basis to aid me on my journey, in the hopes that these tools can also be used by you in your journey, whether it is daily, weekly, or as and when you actually require them. So one of the tools that actually helps with being able to change the meaning that you attach to the words or the thoughts that you're having is referred to as the ladder of looping thoughts. But before I get to that, I'm going to sort of like revisit another tool or technique that I use on a daily basis and multiple times during the day in some instances, and that is becoming aware of what my thoughts are, becoming aware of the beliefs that I've got, that I have formed, become aware of the feelings that I am experiencing throughout the day, because we're not on a flat line. Our kind of feelings and emotions will sort of like fluctuate throughout the day, and in some instances they might be more dipped or more high, and each day brings its own kind of challenges and opportunities for us to learn and grow. So becoming aware of what we're thinking and becoming aware of why we're thinking the way that we're thinking, because is it an external trigger that's caused us to think and feel the way that we are feeling and thinking, or is it something that's been more ingrained within us that is just reinforcing an existing thought and belief that we may have? So what I'm going to do is sort of like just step through this these tools and techniques and provide some examples to help you sort of, if you've not come across them previously, for you to sort of understand them. And repetition is absolutely key in this. If when I'm sort of like covering off the material, it's not quite making sense, maybe rewatch the video again and sort of like get a second take on it, because sometimes the repetition might actually give you insight. It might not necessarily be that you do the repetition straight away, but maybe you come back in a few days' time and rewatch this video in order for you to start incorporating the tool within your daily practice or weekly practice, or however frequently you want to sort of introduce it. So I become aware of what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling, then I accept it or acknowledge it. And then by articulating what that thought is, then I am able to challenge it in order for me to reframe it, depending on if it's a negative thought that is no longer providing me any benefit or value, or whether it is a positive one and I may want to reinforce that positive thought and feeling in order for it to sort of really sort of like land in the subconscious and it becomes something that you automatically use and refer back to. So within the ladder of looping thoughts, it's simply this, and I've just sort of like outlined it here, that hopefully you'll be able to see it, is you have a thought, and that thought then triggers a feeling, because it all starts with thought, then it's the feeling, and then it's the actions, behaviours, patterns that we keep on repeating, and then the thought might be exactly the same thought as that we originally had, gets reinforced, or a new one that just supports the original thought. And as I mentioned, we can actually have downwards, negative spirals, and we can have upwards, positive spirals. And the objective is for us to be able to become aware of what our thoughts are, accept them, articulate them, and then in order for us to challenge them and to reframe them, we use this tool where we actually articulate what the thought is, then we express what the feeling is, and then we reflect on, well, what are the actions that we're taking? What are the behaviours that we are undertaking? What are the patterns that keep surfacing time and time again? And then, is it the same thought that gets reinforced, or is it a new one? So using this tool, what I'm going to do is provide a couple of examples. You can slot in your own words, your own experiences. So if you want to pause this video and do the exercise yourself, or jot the kind of information down for you to really get value of it, please feel free to do so. So I'm going to start with a negative one, and then we can finish off on a positive. So if we start from a negative thought of, I am overwhelmed, then we can sort of tap into, well, if you're feeling overwhelmed, or your thought is everything's overwhelming, there's too much choices, there's too many decisions to be made, and I'm feeling overwhelmed, then tap into what is that feeling. And for you, the feeling might be what I'm expressing, or it might be something different. I feel anxious, I feel unfocused, I feel unproductive, or slot in whatever else you actually feel as a result of thinking that thought, I am overwhelmed. Then, as a result of feeling and thinking that you are unfocused, unproductive, overwhelmed, what actions are you taking? For me personally, I then feel pain. I feel dissatisfied. I feel distracted, that I want to comfort myself. And then the next thought that I have is that it reinforces this inner belief that I used to have, which I have reframed, but I used to have that there's something wrong with me. Why am I always getting overwhelmed? Why am I always feeling unproductive? Why am I always feeling unfocused? And it was those words that I'm using always, I was sort of like attaching so much meaning and so much power to those words, because then that was just making the suffering and the pain that I was experiencing even more intense, because there was all these kind of powerful words of always. But if you step back and you sort of like challenge that thinking, so once you put the thinking down, I'm feeling overwhelmed, and I'm being unproductive as a result of it, and then I'm doing nothing, or I'm being counterproductive as a result, then we've got the opportunity to sort of like see, well, what was the trigger for causing that overwhelm? Can I control it? Is it really true? Is it always that I am unproductive? Is it always that I'm feeling anxious? And it's about taking the power away, and it's about challenging our thinking and our feelings as a result. And then if we get to that point of, well, actually, there isn't always something wrong with me. I'm just having an off moment in this moment in time. It's not going to be permanent. It is not all pervasive. It is just this situation has triggered this scenario and this feeling. But I've got the power to change that and reframe it in a way that is going to encourage me to take action. It's about being kind and compassionate towards yourself, and acknowledging that you're not always unproductive, you're not always overwhelmed. But at this moment in time, you're accepting the fact that you are feeling overwhelmed and anxious. And therefore, by being kinder and compassionate to yourself, If you're wanting to get away from that pain and suffering and do nothing, then by reframing, you might sort of able to sort of like change your action, use the Mel Robbins 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and actually do something to get out of that current situation. So then you can see things from a different perspective and take a more positive action. So hopefully in here, you can actually see where your maybe negative thinking is actually making you feel even less good about yourself, and therefore it's just keeping you stuck and feeling uncomfortable or taking actions that you don't want to take. One of my kind of discomfort actions was I would go and binge eat, or I would actually binge watch something on TV or even on YouTube to sort of numb myself from feeling those feelings. So is there something in here that resonates for you? But let's flip it. Let's make it positive, because now we can actually make that spiral to be a positive spiral, which encourages and empowers us to take the actions that are going to help us learn and grow and make progress and achieve our goals, whatever they may be. And this is where, if we take the thought of I am productive, then the feeling that you usually get from that, especially in my situation, I feel accomplished, I feel focused, I feel determined, I feel proud of myself for being productive and achieving things. And then what is the action that I'm taking as a result of having that kind of more positive thought? I want to do more, I want to achieve more, I want to accomplish more. I'm feeling energized and willing to sort of like keep going. I'm able to motivate myself. I'm able to see the progress that I'm making, and then that just keeps on that kind of perpetual kind of momentum of moving you forward. And then the kind of thought as a result of all those feelings, those actions, is that I am a high achiever. And then it just perpetuates that sense of, I can actually do this. I can actually show up for myself. I can deliver on what I've said. And then you can start trusting yourself, the promises that you make to yourself. So the meaning that we attach to the words, and then those words attached to a feeling, and that feeling might be something, because that thought is something that you've had for years and it's just a constant looping thought that you keep on having, then the feeling probably starts getting more intensified. So this is what I've mentioned in other vlogs, where we've got the compounding. If it was just a thought of I'm being unproductive today, and it's I'm being unproductive today, then you can give yourself some leeway and say, well, today I'm going to listen to my body, I'm going to listen to what I need today, and maybe today it's not about being productive, maybe today it's about just surviving the day. And it's about being kind and compassionate to ourselves throughout this whole experience. So when you're doing the positive looping ladder, what words are you coming up with? What are the feelings that you're experiencing? What are the actions that you're taking? If you feel comfortable and like you want to share, please include it in the comments. Let me know if you've used this tool previously, and if you haven't, is it a tool that you think would be of benefit? I certainly have seen my coaching clients gain a lot of insight, and it's helped them when they're doing the kind of daily journaling and self-reflection that they're doing, to use this ladder of looping thoughts, because it's so easy for us to just go into this negative downward spiral where everything is just more intensified, because it's always the impact and intensity is much more pronounced. Where if you can actually, by articulating it, writing it down, seeing it in black and white, then you can actually challenge it and reframe it and sort of like see, well, today maybe is not the day for me to change it, but tomorrow I will. And it's making that commitment to yourself that you are going to start shifting and changing and implementing the changes in your life to take you away from that pain and suffering and push you into the kind of pleasure where you're learning, growing, achieving and fulfilling the meaning and purpose in your life. So hopefully this tool is something that you've either come across or it's simple enough for you to be able to use. But going back to the point of repetition, doing the tool once might be beneficial at this moment in time, but if you just park it and never revisit that tool again, there is no long-term benefit. And this is about finding, as part of these diary vlogs that I will be doing on a Wednesday, sharing tools and techniques, hints and tips. Hopefully you will start creating a wee arsenal of tools that you can actually dip in as and when you need, and by repeating them over the next few days you actually get used to seeing what one works for you, what resonates for you, and just having a backlog of them, because you might not need them every single day, because maybe your self chatter is a positive one, which is absolutely amazing, and well done you. But if you're like me and lots of people where our chatter sort of like goes from a negative to then you have to do these exercises and tools to then get it into a positive, and then until you can actually make them where it's an automatic that you automatically go to the positive. But life will throw you situations and circumstances where you're going to be challenged, so it might not always be positive. And if it does become negative, then it's about giving you this tool to enable you to make it positive. Okay, so let me know in the comments if you've used it, if it's of benefit, and if there's any other tools or techniques or challenges that you're facing that it would be good for me to actually maybe create a video that addresses those issues for you. So until next Wednesday when we do another educational video vlog, go out and seize the day. Have the most amazing day. And remember, there's always choices in life, so choose wisely. Bye for now.